ID law is what we're talking about, with an opponent, an activist against the voter ID law. Steven Singer, he created an online petition against the measure, got a lot of attention, and has delivered this to state lawmakers. Did they ignore you?
No, they were very nice about it. I mean, I understand that, you know, they're in a very tough position. I understand that. We understand that. We have nothing against the election officials. So far, Allegheny County election officials have said that they would have to enforce the law. If the state Supreme Court doesn't strike this down, it puts them in this catch-22 position where if they if they enforce the voter ID law, they break the Constitution. But if otherwise, if they enforce the Constitution, then they break the voter ID law. So it's a matter of where state law and federal law come into conflict. And I think it's pretty clear that, you know, if the federal law is within its proper sphere, which civil rights would be, then the federal law supersedes the state law. So I think they'd be in their legal right to do so.
But you are asking election judges to not follow the law.
Yes.
And they're going to do what? I mean, I can go into my polling place and they'll say, "It's Mike, don't worry about it." And they're not going to ask me for ID. But if I've got an election watcher there from the other party, they're going to say, no, I want to see that ID. Do they have the right to the election? Do the poll watchers have the right to say, I want to see that ID to make sure it's valid?
It's a very interesting question. And I think if this law remains in place, we're going to have some real problems at the polls. But, you know, regardless of what happens, whether this law is enforced or not, it could potentially lead to a disastrous situation at the polls in November. If we have 500,000 provisional ballots, because if you don't have the proper ID, what they give you is a provisional ballot. You get to put your vote forward. You have 6 days to prove you're that person. If we have a close election, are we going to wait 6 days to find out who won the state of Pennsylvania? There's a lot of room for election shenanigans because of this law.
All right. Louisa McCandless, good evening. You're with Steven Singer on Night Talk.
Oh, good evening, sir. I think it's a gallant effort, and you are to be commended, but unfortunately you're delivering it to people who really don't represent the people anymore. They represent themselves. I feel for you, but I did want to say that I do think that this could very well backfire on the Republicans. I'm sure they've run the numbers. They know what they're doing. They know it's going to impact more Democrats and prevent more Democrats from voting. But I don't think what they have factored in is the chaos, the civil disobedience, perhaps violence that's going to take place at the polls. I think judges of elections and poll workers don't get paid. They get paid peanuts to do this. They could be walking out on election day, and that's going to impact older Republicans. And they're going to remember who did this. It was the Republican leadership who wanted this. And believe me, I've been around this politics all my life. And you know, a lot of the seniors that vote, they're Republicans. And you know, I think that I just think they've underestimated it. And it very well could backfire. I hope it does. Right. And I'm a lifelong Republican, I should also say.
Thank you for the call. Let's go to John in the North Hills. Good evening, John. You're on Night Talk with Steven Singer.
Yes, hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Why, just state a couple of things. I'm a lifelong Democrat, and I am very much in favor of the voter ID. And well, that being for a very personal reason of mine. I had an elderly aunt that passed away back in about 1982. And I was living in an apartment at the time, myself and my family. And my aunt was very kind and left her house to me. My family and I moved into that home sometime thereafter her passing.
Okay, so can we bring it up to why you needed the ID, or you felt you needed to have the ID?
As a matter of fact, we still live in that home. About 5 years after we lived in that home, I got a letter from the local voter registration bureau asking why my aunt, not the registration bureau, she was a lifetime Republican, from a local Republican dignitary, and asking why she was no longer voting. I went to the voter registration office and said, my aunt died on such and so back then. I don't remember now when it was. It wasn't any big issue to me at the time. But the point being, I found out that she had voted 4 years after she had died. I had to take her death certificate down to the voter registration office to get her name purged out of the voter registration list.
So you're saying that she was voting as a Republican 4 years after she died?
Yes. How did that happen?
I don't know. We didn't think the Republicans cheated on elections. Thank you for the call. It seemed like it was all Democrats who were cheaters and voting fraudulently.
Well, I mean, I think that's the whole point. I mean, this law, makes it very possible for the Republicans to cheat on the election.
Okay. More with Steven Singer coming up on Night Talk.